move up so quickly. The Penske chassis, a little more downforce. That's why they can run lower than the Lola. Paul?
Also, I spoke to Paul just before he jumped into the car. He said one of the reasons this car is so good over long periods, it does not wear its tires out as quickly as the Lola. That's why as these races progress, these Penske's come nearer and nearer to the front. And remember what we saw Penske or Tracy do at Phoenix? He was 2 laps clear of the whole field before he made that mistake with Jimmy Vasser.
Paul Tracy now threads his way through traffic as Nigel Mansell tries to catch up. This is the view from onboard Bobby Rahal's car. Let's take a look at that pass one more time as they worked their way around Danny Sullivan, and Paul Tracy just jumped up high and blew right past him.
Well, that is as definitive an outside move as I have seen for a long time. Mansell protected the inside line, and Tracy said, okay, I have grip down there, but the outside line was wide open, and in a flash, he had the lead.
And of course, in all of that, you saw that they were able to get around Mario Andretti, Nigel's teammate, who now runs in 10th place, Bobby Rahal, who now runs in 9th. All those cars are a lap behind the new leader of the race, Paul Tracy.
Now it's good. It's
MATSUSHITA.
Oh, here, 3 wide again. One of the comments after last year's race was how easy it was to run 2 and sometimes 3 abreast, particularly into turns 3 and 4. That's what we saw right there. Cars in the middle, one goes low, one goes high.
Look at Robbie Gordon as he battles with the leader of the race. And now Paul Tracy is able to move away. Robbie Gordon, a lot of people wondering about what his future may be for next year. A.J. Foyt, the car owner, says, well, I've got an option on him from next year. I like what he does, and I think I'm going to exercise that option.
Robbie Gordon says he's not sure about that option. Micah Cranifer says he is definitely going after Robbie Gordon if he puts his complete new IndyCar package together, which in fact is not, I don't believe it's done yet.
We approach what the racers call the silly season. Actually, we've been full out in the silly season. It started about a month early, but mostly with conversation. It's like once the first seat becomes available, we're probably going to see people change everywhere. Now, Roberto Guerrero, who runs in 3rd place, he was able to get around Boisel and chases Nigel Mansell, who is in 2nd.
They had hoped from this Budweiser team that with the addition of Steve Newey, they could get this team to another level. Well, it seems to be working because Guerrero is more consistent now. He was actually fastest at one time in the sessions here on Saturday, and now showing during race conditions here that he's back up to his old form because Guerrero has won these 1 mile overs in the past. Look at this wheel to wheel, and he's on the line. Car must feel good.
Derek, what is it so special about people like Newey that they can suddenly get a team to come together and begin to perform?
Well, rapport is probably a word that covers a lot of areas, but rapport or understanding is Steve Newey knows what Guerrero is saying. He knows what he likes, and he can almost feel as if he's in the car himself. That is important because you can work out the problems that the car has without ever being in the car. And that's the important thing. The engineer has to be able to understand how to make these cars go faster, and then the job for the driver becomes easier.
Further update on Roberto. Here's Gary.
Here in his pits, Paul, on the wall, Joe Flynn calling the shots. John Dangler here as a partner to Kenny Bernstein. They love the way the car's handling. They do not plan any changes on the first pit stop. Remember, his best this year, a 5th place early in the season at Long Beach. They think they've got a chance to be on the podium today. And if you're thinking podium, why not think about winning it? A lot of optimism here for Roberto Guerrero, one of the truly nice guys of this sport.
Paul Tracy continues the lead. 52 laps are now complete. The first pit stop should be about 13, 14 laps away. And at this speed, it'll come up quickly. We'll be back. Back on ESPN, don't forget the Senior PGA Tour, the Bank of Boston Senior Classic. That's coming up live at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time today after the IndyCars here at the New England 200, where Paul Tracy is the leader of the race and working his way through traffic almost constantly now as the rest of the field is spread out. No one in direct contact with one another at the moment. Tracy is 2.5, nearly 3 seconds ahead of 2nd place Nigel Mansell. There are only 5 cars on the leader lap. Paul Tracy, Mansell, Roberto Guerrero, Raul Boisel, and Emerson Fittipaldi. 54 laps are into the record book, now 55, and so we should be a little over 10 laps away from the first stop of the race. And running with only one yellow, we take a look at Raul Boisel trying to hold off a charging Emerson Fittipaldi, who has been steadily working his way up through the field and now begins to work on the fourth-place car. Starts to the inside and just that easily has passed him. Using Sullivan as a bank shot to get down to the inside.
And it wasn't even a challenge because Emerson so easily went down the inside. But here we are now. Have a look at the telemetry here. And the first thing to look at is the throttle position. On the right side, he's on full power. Full power, and watch how much he comes off. Almost right off the throttle, gets on the brakes. Now he plays with it. Look, dab, couple of little dabs. As soon as he knows the car's straight, bang, straight back on. Now watch the speed. 166, 7, 8. A lot slower than they were in qualifying here. So you have RPM, speed, lateral G's. That's another very interesting thing to have on the race car. It gives you an idea of the physical forces on a driver.
As we take a look at this Chevy telemetry, look at the lateral G's increase. And it comes on very sudden as he turns into the corner and sustains all the way through that corner.
And of course, lateral G's, G's being gravity, the force of gravity. Lateral means sideways. Now watch the graph here. Look, goes up to 1, 1.5, 2 G's. That means twice the force of gravity, double your body weight is pulling you sideways as you go around the corner. That's why, of course, drivers have to use neck straps because their neck muscles are physically not strong enough to hold the head and their helmet up.
Marco Greco has given up the run as well as he pulled off the course and behind the wall. As we approach the pit stops, what's the strategy in, say, the Penske pits? Let's get an update from Jan Bikas.
Well, Paul, the strategy right now is to maintain the original strategy of going with a two-stop race. If cars do not make it to lap 67, you cannot make this race in 2 stops. Both Emerson Fittipaldi and Paul Tracy are going to be on pit road on the very same lap. They're separated enough on the track, they think they can get away with it. Lap 67, Penske will be in. That means even if it's green, they can do it in only 2 stops. Paul?
That's 6 laps away as Paul Tracy now, is he perhaps on his way to a repeat of his performance at Phoenix, a race that would surely have been his had it not been for what appeared to most as a premature move on the slower car of Jimmy Vasser, where he ducked under the inside, lost the back end, and caught the wall. Emerson Fittipaldi now closing on Roberto Guerrero. There's Guerrero, the red and white car, just ahead.
Well, the Penske freight train in race conditions over these long runs is again proving to be much more superior than the Lola. So Roberto Guerrero is going to have his hands absolutely full in about 1 lap. But I don't think it's going to be much of a challenge because Emerson has closed this gap incredibly in only about 2 or 3 laps. Watch what happens under... Oh, look at this. Acceleration out of the corner. Emerson is so much earlier on the power and blows by him. No contest.
There's Fittipaldi now into 3rd place as he has steadily fought his way up through the field. And look how fast he pulls away once he is around Roberto Guerrero. Again, echoing what Derek Daly suggested earlier, and that is that the Penske cars do not appear to use their tires nearly as much as the Lolas do. In fact, there's almost the appearance that the Penske cars get better the further they go.
They certainly get faster as the fuel load lightens. Now, the next one up the road, of course, is Nigel Mansell. There's Johansson moves aside, not happy with his Penske. It's exactly the same chassis as Emerson Fittipaldi is in, obviously with not the same setup.
Got an idea with the serial scoring graphic there of Fittipaldi's gradual move up through the field as he comes up to overhaul 8th place Bobby Rahal and put him yet another lap down. 1 car slides up to the wall, catches the wing, the yellow comes out.
David KUDRAVE loses it at turn 3 in the traffic jam and has a lazy slide up into the wall, breaks the rear suspension and the rear wing.
Now, what will they do with the pit stops? The leader's lap is 66. He could wait into this yellow and then head for the pits. It couldn't come better at a better time.
Well, this will open up the door for everybody to charge down the pit lane, and Mansell is one of the first one in the pit lane, and Gary Gerald is there.
Well, this is almost a blessing here. This yellow, it's perfectly timed. This team was going to wait until lap 72. That's the indication that they're getting excellent fuel mileage. So this is purely a routine stop. We don't expect any changes in the handling characteristics. Tom Wirtz holding Mansell, holding him. Now they're ready. Off the jacks, 14.4 seconds on our clock. Nice pit stop under yellow for the race leader.
Let's go to Jan Beekes.
Paul Tracy brings it to a stop. He locked up the brakes and slid a little bit past his marks. Right now, Roger Penske's on the radio telling him, hold the brakes, Paul, hold the brakes. That's one of the things the driver has to do. He also has to reset the dash. We're looking for changes on the car. We haven't seen anything. The car's in gear. We saw the wheel spin. Has to turn very hard around Rahal. He's underway.
From the overhead shot, you saw that when he got hard on the brakes, he was well past his stop marks, that T that is set in the pits. Now Mario Andretti, as they work on his car. Raul Boisel is in the pits too. He picked up the lead of the race, of course, when Tracy came in and Mansell came in.
And they adjusted those front wings on Bozel's car, so he is not happy with the handling. We got a report he did have understeer or push. They've obviously wound more downforce into that car to try and make those tires last for this second one.
I want to understand the strategy here now. Paul Tracy is the leader of the race. The question is whether or not, before we look at the crash, the question, Derek Daly, is why, if you were Roger Penske and you know that a car's into the wall, there's debris out there, why wouldn't you just carry until the end of the yellow, since your car is so powerful anyway, and then stop him?
Well, sometimes it's just safer to bring him in early, because at the end of the yellow, if everybody waits, then you have a much bigger chance of actually making contact or having difficulty getting in and out of your pit lane. But Roger Penske very seldom makes mistakes in situations like this, and he will know that KUDRAVE's car is still against the wall.
All right, here is the situation that put David KUDRAVE into the wall. Just a quick little loss and up against the wall.
You see, he gets it sideways. That's Rahal we're looking from. It's a slow, lazy slide. He jumps on the brakes, but now he's out of the groove in the grey. No option but to just back it up. I don't think he hit the wall too hard, but he did break that right rear suspension as he walks away, having run in a very good 13th place.
So David KUDRAVE obviously okay, but terribly disappointed as he walks away from the New England 200, and under yellow, Nigel Mansell is back in front. Well, the IndyCar safety team has cleared the David KUDRAVE car off of the race course. The PPG pace car makes its turn into the pits, and we go back to racing once again. Roberto Guerrero ducked into the pits just as the yellow came out, and as a result, he is sitting here out in front of the field in danger of being lapped by the leader of the race, Nigel Mansell. Guerrero runs in 5th place. Mansell, the leader, followed by Tracy Fittipaldi, Bozel, and then Guerrero, owing to his position, is in peril.
Roberto Guerrero needs to run like a rocket here because he can get a lap down so easily. He needs a yellow, but it probably won't come. But again, you see how different a line Mansell takes. He's inside him here, and he's outside him down at 3 and 4.
Nigel works so gently with that car. Last week at the Michigan 500-2, he lost about 8 pounds during the run of the race to dehydration. At him this morning, he still didn't look that strong.
And here's the two Penske's coming here. Look at this. Tracy is well able to let things settle down a little bit because he knows how good this car is relative to the Lolas after about 15 laps.
You got a glimpse of Mike Groff there coming out of the pits. He was in and out because of a stop-and-go penalty issued by the officials for pit speed violation. Pit speed limit here today is 80 miles an hour. You start inching much above that, get to 85.